What's up, guys? I'm here with Eric, who has done 280,000 in sales on Amazon this year, and he's also, you can see behind him, he's got a bookstore, so he's making sales on Amazon and off Amazon. He's a true hustler. In this video, we're going to go over his story and hopefully help you learn some strategies to grow your Amazon business as well.
Welcome to the Amazon Savages podcast. Hear the stories of Amazon sellers crushing it in the game and keep up with the latest strategies that are working. Sit back, relax, and remember, if you truly try and work really hard, you will make a ridiculous amount of money selling on Amazon.
25 years old, out of Connecticut, probably like the best place to find books in the country, in my opinion. I've traveled all over. We were kind of talking a little bit about this off air. I traveled out west, and I traveled up in the Northeast too. And I will say, like, Connecticut is probably the best state I've ever been to, if not like, Massachusetts, Boston area. But that whole area is filled with so much wealth. And you're 25 years old, you have a bookstore, and you're selling on Amazon. Like, I'm envious of you. That's a good little combination you have going there. So walk us through how you got started and kind of what's going on today, and what your sales look like on Amazon and off Amazon.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, Avery, for the introduction. So basically, I've always been interested in business and making money. Started out in middle school where I would just like work, do odd jobs like rake leaves or something for extra cash. And then in high school, I got the idea to buy like graduation wristbands in bulk. So I customized them and then sold them to all the students in the school. Looking back, I should have done better selling those because instead of me like wholesaling the wristbands to other people to sell. I just tried to sell them all on my own, so it was a little bit tougher, but that's what it was in the past. So I never really got a great business idea to scale until I started working for his name's Marek Kanapka. His business is Second Spin Disc out of New Britain, Connecticut. He's been a family friend of mine for a long time because he's Polish, I'm Polish, so we both speak the same language, come from the same country. So one winter in college, I worked for him, and I didn't really know what to expect. All I knew is that he was selling DVDs and CDs on Amazon and eBay. So out of the curiosity, I decided to work for him because he needed help over the winter, and this was during my college break.
Mhm.
So I went over there, and my first impression was like, "Holy shit! This guy had like shelves and shelves and shelves filled with DVDs, CDs, and he had like his family working for him, another employee, and he was pulling in like huge numbers. I don't know exactly, but definitely over a million or two in sales a year selling that stuff on eBay and Amazon. And he showed me his rating on eBay, and he was like one of the top media sellers in the country. So after I started working for him, picking orders and scanning CDs and DVDs to list, I was like, wow, I think I could totally do this. And I'd like to because I want to have some freedom and build a business like he did. And Marek, like the great guy that he is, he showed me everything. He showed me like what softwares to use, how to scan like books, for example, for profit. So he hooked me up with his Scoutly account at the time, and I started going to thrift stores like Goodwill and library sales and started scanning books and taking them home, running the numbers, see how much profit I'd make, and I'd send them into FBA and wait for the money to come in. And it started to be pretty good money. I was surprised at how much I was making every 2 weeks from Amazon. And I, at the time where I started doing it a little more full time, I also graduated from college with a nursing degree. So I was kind of trying to balance my life between do I want to do nursing or do I want to do business? At the time, I decided to just go for the nursing route because I needed to get a job out of college and I need to use what I learned and get some experience. So I went into uh, a hospital and I started an orientation and I didn't really like it too much. So, like a month in, I quit and decided to take my book selling business to a warehouse where I could do this on a larger scale, like get bulk. Um, and at first, it was a big learning curve, and I had to put up a lot of money to buy stuff to build these shelves behind me to get equipment. So I didn't see like the money come in as great because I had so many expenses. So I decided to go back into nursing a couple months later and started a new hospital. So for the last 2 years or a year and a half between nursing and this business, I've just been grinding a lot. So, you know, 1 week I'll get a paycheck from the hospital, 1 week I'll get a paycheck from Amazon. So the money's great. Um, but I finally gotten to the point where I am only working part-time at the hospital so that I could focus on this business. So now I have my brother and sister working for me. I do bulk. So we scan all the stuff and then we price stuff and then put it in the bookstore. The bookstore is a different story. We could get into that later, but that's like how the journey started into selling on Amazon.
Okay, what did you get your sales up to in Amazon before you started the bookstore? Did you start both at the same exact time?
No, the bookstore was like a spontaneous idea one day. Um, the Amazon part was the initial thing. So you were asking how much I was doing in sales on Amazon. So I was like the first year just doing Amazon, my sales were like 150,000 in one year.
What year was that?
Sorry.
2022? What year?
That was 2021 going
Okay,
into 2022.
nice.
Yeah.
And then
So
the the bookstore you started when?
so the bookstore I started last winter, so that was the end of 2022.
And how's that going for you? And are you using that to get a lot of your inventory?
Yeah, so I guess I'll go through all the bookstore story. Basically, selling on Amazon only is pretty boring to me. You're kind of just in a warehouse by yourself, like not
Yeah.
really talking to anybody unless somebody's working with you. So one day I'm like, how can I have more fun with this? So I thought, let me Google bookstores around me. So I went on Google and I typed in used bookstores around me, and I didn't really see any in my area. I'm in Bristol, Connecticut. The best bookstore around is in Niantic, Connecticut, which is like an hour away, and that's the Book Barn. And
Mhm.
people rave about it. But around me, all the used bookstores are like small places, maybe like a couple hundred square feet. So I thought, I guess there could be a market for this. And the warehouse space I'm in now, it's not like it's kind of in a busy area, and I have AC, I have heat, I have electricity, I have carpet, good lighting. So if I can turn this warehouse space into a bookstore where I just host book sales, I think I'd have a decent turnout. And if I market it correctly to the right people, I would have the right people come out to buy books. So for the last year, a year and a half, I've been working on getting this bookstore slash warehouse space set up to sell books to people in person. Um, I'm not open every day like a typical bookstore because I don't see the point. I feel like if you create a demand for something by only offering it at a limited time, people will come in and spend money. Um, and you'll save yourself time. So I built a Facebook page to market my bookstore, and I just post on there all the time. And I have followers that love books. So anytime I want to have a book sale, like I could have a book sale tomorrow. My next book sale is this Friday for Black Friday, but I just post an event for my bookstore, and people come and buy books. So that's my version of a bookstore. It's like a supply and demand type of thing. Like you can only come this day. We only have
Mhm.
limited books in stock. If you don't come, you're gonna miss out.
That's awesome. Do you
Yeah.
know like what or do you share what your sales are for like what's a big day for you?
The most I've ever done at a book sale was $3,900.
That's so dope. No Amazon fees. You don't have to pay Jeff Bezos 15%. That's
No.
nice.
Yeah, and that was only in 3 hours.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you're open how many days a week?
Uh literally zero. I mean zero technically. I just post
Yeah,
when I want to
okay.
have a book sale like a
Gotcha.
week in advance, and then yeah.
Walk us through your Amazon business. So you're where are you getting these books from? Are is it still the bulk source or is it
Yep.
okay. No
Yeah.
donations
So
in
I
any
have a
sort?
couple. What's that?
No donations.
So I do get some donations. People call sometimes and they're like, "You want to come pick up books?" So I ask them, "Where are you located? How many do you have?" And then decide accordingly. I have
Dude,
a
you
bulk
do your book
couple
sales. Sorry to
sources.
cut you off, but dude, you should be doing what McKay's does and get people to bring in books and give them like store credit. Just print off some like Monopoly money looking shit, give it to them, and then they can use their $50 that you just paid them for their books to buy more of your inventory and just do like a trade. That would crush it.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm trying to work on right now. My goal is to get like a bookstore software. I looked into a couple things like Basil is something. I'm gonna have
Uh-huh.
a meeting with them next week because apparently they offer like a trade credit and a buyback.
Yeah.
But before that, I'm thinking I don't know if I should use something like Scoutly or Scout IQ to see the profit every time I
Yeah.
scan a book.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have any suggestions on
Yeah. Yeah.
how to
I
determine.
would just like use one of those softwares. People give you a box of books, have your sister or brother, whoever's doing it, scan them. Anything that's green, I would just because you'll get a. I would set the buy cost to 0, and I would set pretty liberal triggers, and maybe even bring the first few triggers down to like $1 or 2. That way, you're getting at least some accepts, and then yeah, I would like give them like because since you're giving them like trade credit, like I would purchase online like a really nice piece of paper like that could be printed out like a rectangle with your business on it and make like a slip out of it. And then I would just have your team scan all the books. Let's say they bring a box of books, scan all of them, and let's say the total profit's $50. I would just cut it in half and give them $25. And then I would just give them, I wouldn't even give them the option for cash. McKay's says, hey, you could have $12.50 in cash or $25 in trade credit. I would just give them trade credit. So you're not putting any cash out there at all. And I would just write $25 in a pen on that slip and then give it to them. And then when they use it at the store to buy from you, I would just have your team like mark out the $25 and like if let's say they spent $10, then just put they have $15 left. And so have it like a kind of like a tally system on the store credit. And people love that because it's like a game. Because once they have that, they're like, oh, I need to go spend it. And then they'll probably buy more. They'll probably be like, oh shit, I want to buy like $25 trade credit, but then I also want to buy $10 personal. And so now you're incentivizing more spend. Everybody in the store is seeing how many books one person's buying. Like, people will walk up with a huge stack because they're like, screw it, I have $50 in trade credit. Let me spend all this. So like it incentivizes more spend. It's tax-free spending on their part. And you're getting free inventory in the process. So now people get excited. They're like, oh, let me bring all my books to the bookstore so I can trade it in and get trade credit. Like, I think you could really crush it with that model. Yeah, I think in the Northeast, especially, literally on the last podcast I was just shooting with John Side Hustle Experiment, I was saying it's so funny. I didn't even know you had a bookstore, man. I was just saying like
Yeah.
I had a vision of making a bookstore in the Northeast. I was traveling. My buddy lives in Boston. He does several million a year selling books. He's got like a donation bin business up there. And me and him, we would like brainstorm sometimes. And I'm like, dude, if a McKay's was here, I mark my words, if a McKay's was in Connecticut, Massachusetts, or New York, they would fucking crush it. And so if you just remake that model and you make it fun for people, you're going to get that reputation. Everyone's going to talk about it. Like, it got to the point here in Nashville, man, where I can have McKay's trade credit. I can go to a garage sale and I can be like, hey, I have McKay's trade credit. Will you take this for these items? And they will take my bookstore credit at a garage sale because they know of the bookstore nearby and they like it, So I would just play around with it. Like, what do you have to lose?
Yeah, exactly. And that's honestly the goal. I like that's my goal to get to the point where McKay's is like there's a retail location down the street that's been kind of vacant for a little bit, and it's got huge parking, great traffic, very busy. So I've been looking at that, and I kind of just want to go for it. But the advice
That's
you're
the
offering on the
your
trade
current
side, I
location
think
first.
is
Get
great.
proof of concept, just doing the trade credit stuff. The one nuance you'll have to look out for is fiction books that are in good condition that Scout IQ or Scoutly wouldn't accept. You want to give people their fair share of money for those. even if it's like $1 or $2, they're going to expect a lot because they know what's the most you're selling books for right now in the bookstore.
The most, probably like $15.
Okay. What are you selling like a fast selling John Grisham fiction book for?
2.
So yeah, I would probably give them like $1 in trade credit. I would tell your team like Scoutly's pretty generous with the triggers you can set up, so you could probably set up something like this where if it's under 100K sales rank fiction book or just 100K ranked book period, I would probably just at least give them 50 cents to $1. That way, like if somebody brings you a box of fiction and none of it's profitable FBA, you don't want to give them nothing. Like you want to incentivize because honestly, those are probably the best books for you. Like they suck for
Yeah.
selling on Amazon, but fast selling fiction is really good for a bookstore. So I would take all those books and just tell your team, hey, anything under 100K means it's like a super fast seller, which likely means people in the area or live people are going to actually pay a lot of money for it, and just have like a $1 flat fee for anything under 100K. That's what I would do.
Yeah. All right, that makes sense. Initially I was just gonna like, you know on Scoutly or Scout IQ where you can set up like the buyback sites?
Yeah,
I was gonna like initially, if a
that's
buyback
not a good idea
comes
either.
up, I was
You can
just
just
gonna.
match sell back your book prices. So whenever sell back your book offers, just match it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do initially, but most of the time it's like 8 cents to 12 cents, so I wasn't sure if that was gonna, if people would want to do that. I know
The thing
it would
is,
add up if they bought a
if
lot.
you're doing trade credit, man, like you can overpay because it's not real money. I mean, yeah, they're
Yeah,
gonna buy inventory from you, but honestly, like you moving inventory is good. Like you getting books out the door and getting more books in, it's worth it, you know?
yeah, yeah,
Like if they bring you a box of books and you pay $25 in trade credit and they spend that $25 in trade credit, they might be able to get 12 books. So it's like less than a box worth. So you're getting a box of books and you're trading less than half a box back out, you know?
yeah,
And then out of that box of books, you might have 3 books that are good to sell on Amazon. And then the rest you can either essentially give to people because they're going to be using trade credit for it. And then you'll probably sell 10-20% for cash too. So you're winning in that situation.
yeah, yeah, seriously. All right.
I think the game of it, the gamifying it makes it really fun for people. There's something about bringing books and like not knowing if you're going to get paid a lot because who knows? Somebody brings you a box of books and you might pay them like $200 in trade credit. Like it might be really good stuff. Like they might bring you a stack of textbooks that just crush it, and then they're like, "Oh my gosh, I have $200 in trade credit," and then they tell all their friends about it. Like,
Yeah. All right. That's a great idea. I'm gonna, you said get like special paper and
yeah,
write it down to start, and
I don't have
then
any with me right
okay.
now, but they use like
Well, I
this.
was even gonna think about like business card because I have business cards, so I can maybe write on the back of the business card because that's special to the store.
You could do that. You could do that, but I think there's something with like the Monopoly money stuff. At least like it makes it feel like a game. Like when you hold the McKay's Monopoly money, like it just feels like I don't know. It just feels like money to you. I would try
Yeah.
and make it look like a rectangle, and I'm sure you can find him somewhere. I might even be able to connect. I haven't really talked to her much, but I know I follow the owner of McKay's on Instagram. If you want, I can give you her contact. Who knows? Maybe she'd
Yeah.
be willing to give you some tips.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. I wish I knew what software they used to keep track of all their stuff because
It's got
like
to be their own software from years and years of data, and I mean, they know that they charge $35 for a book and they know they've sold that book 20 times for $35. So when you bring them that book, they're willing to pay you 10 for it or maybe even 20 because they know in their system, they don't care. They don't give a shit about Amazon. They don't care what it's selling for on Amazon. All they care about is, oh, we've sold this in the past 20 times for $35. We'll pay you $15 for it. And that's like the most valuable data you can have is what. So if you can get some type of inventory tracking for what you've sold books for, that would really help.
Yeah, because right now a lot of the stuff in there, it's not cataloged. So hopefully this Basil software, which I'm having a meeting with next week, from their website, it seems like they offer inventory tracking with barcodes,
Hmm.
stickers. So I'll just scan all the books in that I'm not selling on Amazon to go on the shelves, and it'll tell me how long it's been there. And then every time I have a sale, I scan those books into the system, and it'll tell me like how much I have left in inventory, and how much I sold it for. So hopefully, like when I get enough data to do my buybacks, I can step it up to the point where I'm doing it more like McKay's.
Yeah.
Like you said, they have years of data on hand. So
Yeah, and we have pretty good data on hand too as Amazon sellers. Like, I mean, it's pretty valuable data to see that an item is a low sales rank, which means it's got high demand and it's selling on Amazon for $100. That's pretty damn good data right there for you to be able to price the book close to that. You know,
yeah, yeah, just using Scout IQ or Scally or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So back to Amazon. What's a secret that you've learned that's helped you grow your Amazon business?
Um, I guess how to spot good merchant fulfilled inventory. So a lot of the most profitable books sometimes are have no barcodes or no ISBNs. So doing a quick Amazon lookup, I find it quicker to type in the title of the book than to do like the picture scan with the Amazon app.
Hmm.
So looking up the title of the book and seeing the picture itself on the Amazon listing, then copying the ASIN, will lots of times result in a good book that's for merchant fulfilled.
Hmm.
And my repricing is set up in a certain way based on the sales rank so that I can get the sales for those 5+ million ranked books. Um, so I guess, long story short, the secret that I found that helps a lot in making more sales on Amazon is teaching someone who's scanning your books or going through your bulk inventory what to put to the side for non-ISBN or no barcode books.
Hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of money to be had in those because people just don't look them up.
Right.
Hmm.
And I know I've seen your your Instagram reels, I think one specifically where you said you should stay and look for the books
Yeah,
that have no ISBN or no barcode, because lots of the times the scanners at library sales or thrift stores
everybody's
will
too
just
lazy,
pass
man.
over them.
Nobody wants to look that shit up.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's like everybody just wants to scan the barcode, but give them a room filled with non-barcode books, and nobody wants to do the work. So instantly, like we know that non-barcode books have a higher acceptance rate to sell on Amazon, just because nobody's putting in the work. Selling books on Amazon is already hard enough. Scanning the damn books with the barcodes is already hard. Nobody wants to do the work of looking up the non-barcode books. So if you do, you're going to make the profit.
Yeah, exactly. Especially in those categories or genres that are more abstract.
Hmm. Right.
So
I agree. The niche, the riches are in the niches.
yeah, like dude, all the witchcraft books and like alchemy stuff, like people will pay money for those online just because they have these odd curiosities
Yep.
about those subjects
Yep.
or they're collectors. Like, yeah, sure, there's a nonfiction book about engineering from 1980, but nobody wants that.
Yeah.
But something about brewing some sort of secret cocktail that's supposed to alleviate your symptoms, like,
Yeah.
people want to buy that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. What's a myth you've learned about selling on Amazon? Or what's a myth? What's a common myth that Amazon sellers believe starting out?
Oh, that is easy. Because it's not, I mean, especially with books, it's not easy. Um, if you get processes in, it takes time, and then it's a little easier. But for anybody starting out, it's not easy.
Hmm.
Yeah. What's yours?
I think it's the same. I think that's the most common answer we get on the podcast is that it's easy. I
Yeah.
think I think people see the TikToks, they see the Instagram reels, and they assume that it should be passive income. They assume it should happen overnight. They go work 40-hour weeks in their job, but then they think they can work 4 hours a week in their Amazon business and get the same results. Flip those numbers and you'll get results. Put 80 hours of work in a week starting out in your Amazon business. It would be unreasonable for you not to have success. Like, you're going to figure it out. If you don't have to put 80 hours in, but at least put a full week worth of work that you would put in your job towards a business. Try putting 40 hours a week in for a year. I guarantee you'll have success, but not a lot of people want to do that.
No, yeah, exactly. People post those videos about selling on Amazon for the views, and
Hmm.
sometimes they're not necessarily looking to entice people to do it. They just like getting the views.
Yeah.
So of course they're going to make it look easy.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
So what have you learned selling 280,000 on Amazon? What beginner tips would you have for someone, just starting out if they want to sell that same amount? You're probably operating at a pretty healthy margin too. Would you say 30% ish?
Yeah. 30 to 40. Like a lot of the books just come in free too, so I have no expenses there.
Yes.
Yeah. But tips for beginners would be good communication skills and networking.
Yep.
My first ever bulk deals were with libraries. So you kind of just, get to know the volunteers there and tell them your story and what your goal is. Um, Lots of the times people will just go to the book sale and they'll like make a mess or be rude,
Hmm.
and they don't get viewed as highly as someone who's respectful and willing to talk, or show appreciation at the end of the sale. I think like the best library bulk deal I ever got was the basement of the library had like probably 2,000 square feet worth of books on shelves, and the head guy of the Friends of the Library, I got talking with him, and at the end of one of the sales, he said, "Hey, you seem like a nice kid, and we have a lot of overstock. If you want to come down to the basement sometime, you can buy whatever you want for $1 or $2 a piece." And when I got down there, the amount of books I saw was crazy. So I went with my brother, and we spent like 3 hours, 4 hours there scanning books. And I went home with a whole van full of profitable stuff for Amazon. And it was just because I just had a good conversation with the Friends of the Library guy. Even it seems like the demand for bulk books is pretty high now. I know a lot of the big sellers, they're having trouble finding inventory. So if you can make a good relationship with your supplier, then they'll make sure they can give you stuff
Hmm.
as a priority.
How's the recycling market looking right now?
Sorry?
The recycling market, like, do people get paid for their books right now? Because it goes back and forth where the recyclers will pay money like per pound for books, and then sometimes they charge you. Do you know how it is right now, or you're not too familiar with that?
So I have a couple secrets with my recycling. I don't actually recycle. I have other deals I do for the stuff I'm getting rid of. I can't go into it because it's good for me, and yeah. So but I don't know because I don't recycle, so I'm not sure what the price is. I had a recycler come once and they told me I took too long to load, so they weren't gonna pay anything.
Dude,
So after
recyclers
that,
are
I was like, let's
crazy.
find something else.
Recyclers are wild, man. Like, that's such a weird business.
Yeah. Do you know how it works or how
In
much
the past,
you're paying now?
I've gotten paid to recycle. I did a college clean out one time. Me and Caleb, we
Yeah.
went to a college, we cleaned it out. We had a big dumpster outside, and I think they paid us 4,000 for it. It was a huge dumpster of books.
Wow.
But then I know other times they'll charge you for it. So it just depends.
Yeah. Interesting. 4,000 is great though to recycle
Yeah.
that.
It was it was so many books.
Yeah.
They were 130-pound boxes, and Caleb ditched me, and I had to lift literally for like 4 hours straight, 130-pound boxes. Probably like some of the hardest work I've ever done in my life. So I worked for that 4 grand.
That's why you're so fit, bro.
Yeah. All
Let's go.
those-
Yeah.
um,
How's Caleb doing, by the way? I know
he's
he
doing pretty good.
retired.
He's got go to stackinghabits.com. He's got his own podcast. So anyone who wants to keep up with the book flipper, he was the OG of the book selling space for a while. He created Scout IQ. He sold Scout IQ. He sold millions in books. He sold his book business. And now he's making podcasts talking about how to better your life, how to, different things, like whether it's biohacking, habits, everything. So you can go to stackinghabits.com and listen to that.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'll check it out.
100%.
Yeah, good for him. I exchanged a couple emails with him because I bought a couple of the pre-scan palettes when he brought that
Yeah.
to fruition. And I don't know him other than that, but I've seen his content and he's proof that sharing knowledge about business goes a long way. I know some people try to be secret about everything, to protect their source or
Just
to
like you.
protect
You
their
were just really secret
efficiency.
with us just now.
I know, I'm like a hypocrite saying that stuff,
No, it's
but
true. I just made a video a couple days ago where I was talking about booksellers and the bookseller space and how I'm kind of like the only one really posting about selling books right now. And I'm like, guys, just because I'm the only one posting about selling books right now doesn't mean like there's a ton of people out there. Like, there's a ton of people making a lot of money selling books, but they don't share it. Why don't they share it? Because there's a very real risk that you can go to their city, you can find their goodwill that they're purchasing all their books from. You can negotiate with that goodwill. It would probably be pretty difficult, especially if they have a long-term relationship with the goodwill. You're not gonna be able to just go sneak in and take it. Like, but what if you offer double the money for the pallets? Like, there is a chance that you could steal their source. So all the big booksellers kind of lay low. Like there's this whole kind of like underground community, and so it's pretty cool though. At the same time.
yeah. I mean, where was it? The Cash Monkey software. You know Cash Monkey?
Mhm.
Yeah. I went with the guy I used to work for, Marek, who has this big media business. I went down last summer to see their auto line because Marek invited me along, and there was a bunch of booksellers that went down, but everybody there was just nice and willing to share information. It wasn't like a war of secrecy. It
That's
was
nice.
complete transparency on most things, and
Yeah.
people were willing to help each other out
Yeah.
with processes or efficiency. Like, how do you look up your non-barcode books? Like, what's the most efficient way you do it? And then, they'll give an answer and then they'll ask a question back in return. It was just a big brainstorming session where people were trying to help each other out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. I might be doing a bookselling meetup next year. I probably will. I'll probably do it here in Nashville. So
Cool. Yeah,
it'll
I love your city. It's amazing.
yeah, it'll be a go-to lister conference officially. So we'll have like a go-to lister. We'll get all the people using go-to lister. Have a lot of booksellers, online arbitrage. Probably mainly booksellers though, starting out. Like I kind of want to do like just a bookselling meetup because right now I have a huge Amazon selling event where I get booksellers, online arbitrage wholesalers, Miami Sellers Conference. But I want to do a smaller one next year, probably here in Nashville, just with booksellers.
Oh yeah, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Speaking of go-to list, I was gonna ask you, how was the process and what was your idea behind creating that software?
The real story is okay. So you're familiar with this? One second.
Grind hard, well done, sir, and welcome to the freaking well.
So I was running restricted inventory in 2020, and I called Caleb and I was like, "Hey, can I make a listing software? I want to make a listing software where if people happen to list a restricted book, it can be routed to me directly." And so that was kind of like the original process because restricted inventory was paying my bills back then. By the way, if you're a restricted inventory user, we only take a $20 cut max now. So if you send us textbooks and we sell a textbook for $100 profit, we pay you 80. we cap ourselves at $20. If you send us a $200 textbook profit, you get $180. We cap ourselves at $20. Everything less than a $20 cap for us is still a 50-50 split. So that's something new that we're doing. But in 2020, I was like, oh, if I create a listing software, I can add more value by helping people route their books, restricted books the right way. Ironically, we haven't even done that yet because we started building it. In the first year, I worked with Indians and it was so bad. And dude, like honestly, like the worst decision I made was hiring Indians to build a software. And I was like, this might not work out. And I had a year of staying up till 4 a.m, grinding away, telling these people what to do for the software. And then they flew to America and I met with them in Miami. I was living in Miami. He flew to Miami and turns out he was in Miami for a music festival. He didn't just come for me because I said, if you fly to Miami, I will give you equity in this company. So he flew to Miami. And then I told him the week before he came, I said, don't come. I'm going to tell you no to your face. I don't want to work with you ever again. I like you as a person, but fuck you. And so fuck you when it comes to business. So he comes to America. We meet up at a coffee shop. We talk. He gets in my Toyota Corolla. And he's like, why are you driving this piece of shit car? And I'm like, because I'm paying your ass like $40,000 to build this software for me. And so he saw like I was like driving a Toyota Corolla. And he's like, why don't you have more money? And I'm like, because I'm paying it all to you, motherfucker. And so that was kind of like the start of GoToLister, really bad start. And then we started from scratch. I hired an American who also sells on Amazon. He's an Amazon seller and he does wholesale and online arbitrage. So I'm the book guy and I do wholesale now. And so he recoded it from scratch and he's actually a really good coder. And he built what you see as GoToLister today. Like, in my opinion, beautiful user interface. It's fast. It's very simple, no bugs. And he works weekends. He'll work till 3 a.m. So when I was working with the Indians, it was like they took weekends off. If there was a bug during the week, they would only work during their hours. I'm pretty sure they were arbitraging. I was paying them like $1,000 a week, and I'm pretty sure they were taking that money or they were taking the developer that they were paying and they were arbitraging him among different projects. And so it was just a really bad foundation. And I learned a lot of stuff about business, like don't partner with the wrong people. But now my developer is an Amazon seller and we're both just like 100% focused on making this. Honestly, like we made it for booksellers starting out. And as you can see, it's like a really fast optimized workflow for booksellers. But our end goal is to really take over the market for Amazon online arbitrage and wholesale. And so we're making a lot of features that help people. Like, let's say this is your fastest selling ASIN. You'll be able to manage your inventory within GoToLister and see that this ASIN's making you a lot of money and you should buy more of it. So we're going to give you like little inventory insights. We have gross profit reports now, but we're going to have net profit reports soon where we'll tell you like what your net profit is at the end of the year. And so our goal is to be the best listing software, but also provide like inventory insights as time goes on. So it kind of started with the motivation of an extension to restricted inventory, but then it turned into like, I saw that we could be faster than what the competition's doing. Like we could help people save time and we could look better. Like, I don't think the softwares out there look very good. And so we're just getting started. Like what I want to do is create something really beautiful that makes listing fun for people, fast, and also gives you like the core insights you need to grow your business at an affordable price. So that's what we've been working on.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm really excited about you offering that because the software itself is already great, especially the speed of how fast it works, and then telling me right away if something's restricted.
Yeah.
The reports, I don't use those too much because I have my own reports, but it's very easy to look at through your interface. And I know you could look into each thing you sold, MF or FBA, and it'll tell you the net profit you made.
Right. Yeah. And pretty soon, like for you, are you tracking your different sources in GoToLister?
No, like I said, we pre-scan with NitoScan, so that's where we get most of the scanning report.
Okay. Because for booksellers, we're going to have like source information and we're going to like itemize that for you. So on your profit, data, you'll be able to look at like, did Massachusetts Library, did that make you the most profit versus, donations? Let's say you start doing this donation thing where everyone's bringing you the books. Now, every time you list those books, you can be like, holy crap, like 40% of our profit this year was just from donations, which we paid nothing for. And so you'll be able to see it
Yeah.
itemized, which Caleb's tracking spreadsheet does a great job of now. I don't know if you've used it before.
One time, yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to have like that same data eventually for booksellers too. And it's going to be really valuable for online arbitrage sellers, knowing like for both booksellers and online arbitrage sellers, maybe like Walmart's your number one source, or Kohl's or some obscure website, is going to be your highest profit. Like really understanding what sources are giving you the most profit. And then this week we're coming out with inventory management within GoToListers. You'll be able to manage your inventory, like number of units, min max price. And then shortly after that, replens. So we'll tell you, for wholesalers and OA sellers, it's really important to keep your stock in. So if this is your most profitable ASIN and you don't have a 30-day supply of it, you'll be able to see that within GoToLister. And unlike Amazon does give you restock reports. I'm sure you've seen it, like where it tells you to buy a new book. You're like, I don't have that book. What's the point in you telling me to buy the book when I don't have access to buy it again? GoToLister is going to know what your true profit is. So Amazon tells you to buy everything regardless of how much you made. GoToLister will tell you only to buy it if it was profitable for you, because we have your buy cost baked in on the back end. So we know this made you $2 per unit, where maybe Amazon's telling you to restock an item that lost you money, because all they want is more stock. They don't care what your profitability is. So
Right.
soon. I actually got a meeting coming up right now with David. Dave can read?
David Chung?
Yeah, David Chung.
Yeah, I don't know him personally, but I know of him.
Yeah, I got a meeting with him right now. We're about to talk about, he's handling the media side of restricted inventory. So if you guys send items, it all goes to New Jersey now at his warehouse. So I got to run, but where can people find you at? You're on social media at all? Do you have a website? Where do you want people to reach out?
Yeah, so I have a good Instagram following and then a Facebook page. It's Worthwhile Reads. I'll put it in the chat here.
Yeah, and we'll link that below. My team will find it. And if you guys want to follow him, all the links are below in the description. Thanks, Eric, so much for coming on, and really appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks, Avery. It was great talking to you.